power call is going to make it visible, and I'm going to show you the moves. Like I said, you're not going to like everything you see on today's call, but I am going to give you power to become more productive. So that being said, let's dive in. I'm going to zoom in to this diagram, and I'm going to show you guys the path. I'm going to show you guys the inefficiencies, the speed bumps, the things that are slowing you down. I'm going to show you the hidden waste that's turning your factory, into a less than ideally productive, a low productivity little factory. I'm going to turn you into each and every one of you into a highly productive, lean, mean, fighting, earning machine with the stuff we're going to talk about today. So let me go ahead. Let me, Mr. Producer, the zoom in here, because the diagram we're going to go over today is going to blow your mind. So, and I will open this up for questions. There's going to be questions at the end, because what we're going to talk about is going to be a big new idea, a big new way to look at the world. And I need you guys to get this. I'll bring a couple of you guys on. We'll go through it. But first, let's go through this diagram. So I've pre-drawn this because it's not the easiest thing to get right on the fly. But we're going to talk about all the steps you go from baby beginner, brand new dude inside of the real world, to closing your first big deal. We're talking 2.5K plus, So I guess this isn't technically all the way to grown ass man, but this is to you closing that first big giant deal. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 main things you have to do. This isn't really the filters. This isn't really a list of roles that you get inside of the campus, but rather these are some of the tasks you need to do, where you're either moving pixels or talking to people, putting words on a document, or uploading stuff, where you're actually doing work that adds value either to yourself or others, right? And these 6 things, we're going to examine all 6 of them. We're going to look at the timeline underneath all of them, and I'm going to show you the hidden speed bumps, the places where you guys are needlessly wasting time. Nothing hurts me more than watching you guys needlessly take longer to do things than you need to, or needlessly being held up because of a retarded little mistake. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you the hidden side of this. And I'm going to show you the moves that you need to do to avoid these speed bumps, or in some cases, actually embrace them. So let's go ahead and dive them in. Let's see. Actually, I'm curious if any of you guys can guess all 6. I'm going to write them in there, and we're going to talk about them as we go. But I'm curious, in the chat, go ahead and see if you can drop all 6 of them in here. So when you first start off, the first thing you have to actually do is you have to actually run your outreach, right? You have to run student-based outreach. The second thing you need to do, once you've sent the emails out, they said yes or whatever, is you're going to actually hold a sales call, right? Once you've had the sales call, they agree to the deal. Yeah. The next thing you're going to do here is you're going to, this is where you get into the research and draft. I'm going off the dock here, that's okay. Research and draft, the actual marketing. This is where you analyze top players, you look at the market, talk to CIA, method asset, put together your drafts, go through a revision state, boom. You're going to go get it approved. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to actually build and launch your funnel. So this is where you have to go in there and make the website or upload the stuff to Google Ads or whatever it happens to be. And again, we're going to be talking about the ideal leanest path. There's a few hiccups that typically happen. We'll talk about those. But these are like the things you have to do, the time when you are moving pixels around on a screen, or talking to somebody, or sitting there and punching buttons to actually create value for somebody else. Once that's built to launch, you run the funnel. After it's run, you get successful. Technically, sure, maybe you monitor a little bit, but I'm going to show you why that doesn't really matter at all. Once you finish monitoring and you've hit your killer case study, at that point, you start your outreach again. But this is KCS-based outreach. And then you have your sales call, which leads to you closing money. Those are the 6 steps, right? Now, there's some other things that have to happen around here. We'll talk about that in a second. But for you to actually legitimately do the work, this is you actually doing work, not waiting on anything else, but just doing the work. You do your basic outreach, you have a sales call, you do your research, draft, and put together your marketing funnel. Then you have to build and launch that funnel, set everything up, push live. Then it's killer case study based outreach. Then it's a sales call. Those are the actual tasks you do. Everything else is either passing a filter or waiting on someone else. We'll talk about those things in a second. But I want to now show you, out of these 6 things, let's talk about how much time these actually take. Now, I'm not going to talk about this in terms of days or weeks or minutes or seconds. We're going to use hours. We're going to use hours to measure this. And I'm going to give you guys, this is the ideal. This is roughly what it should take in an ideal world. Now, granted, you guys are probably going to be a little bit slower than this because some of you were frankly dropped on your head as children. So you're a little slower in general. So you're going to go through this a little slower. But I'm going to show you what, wait until the hours it takes to do this are actually inconsequential. These are the least important numbers I'm going to write on the screen or the big whiteboard. So just bear with me. Let me go ahead and write this out. You guys aren't ready for this. I know that the next layer I drop on this is going to blow your tiny little minds. Let me show you this. So outreach. Let's say you sit down, you collect your leads, you do your outreach. You're probably sitting there actually banging keys for like 4 hours. We're talking 4 hours, give or take a little bit, but 4 hours to send out your first big batch of outreach. Sales call, what does that take? 2 hours. It takes roughly 2 hours to run a sales call. Sit down, talk to them, build rapport, blah, blah, blah. Show them the thing, get the agreement, shake their hand. 2 hours, you're done. Research, drafting, and making this. Now, you guys aren't going to like this number, but it's only 12. It really only takes about 12 hours to do this. Maybe 4 hours for research, 4 hours for your first real draft, and then 4 hours to revise that son of a gun. We're talking 12 hours total to get a pretty decent first project draft done. Just 12 hours. Just 12. Just 12 hours. Now, when it comes to actually building and launching, I'll give you 10 because sometimes you guys can, there's some inefficiencies, putting together a website, fixing the padding, getting Google tagged. Let's say 10 hours total of banging keys. The rest of it is just, whatever. It's roughly 10 hours of actually building the thing and pushing launch. You can even probably say it takes you 6 hours to do this and then 4 hours total of your life to just monitor it as it runs. We'll talk about that, the actual monitoring and harvesting killer case study in a second. When it comes to killer case study outreach, we're talking again, maybe 4 hours. You sitting together, putting together your first email set. If you're doing emails or cold calls, maybe it's like, say, 4 hours to get to a point where you can book a call. And when you run that call, it's about 2 hours. This is the math. We're going to talk about how many hours this all adds up to. I want you guys to do me a favor. Somebody that's really good at math, add this up for me. How many hours is this? I'm kind of retarded on the fly for things like this, so I'm actually going to punch this into my calculator. But let's see who can get the number. This is the number. And I know you guys aren't going to like the number, and you might not even believe the number right now. But I'm going to actually show you why this number doesn't matter. It's a useful number, but it's not the most important number on the planet. What do we got there? 38, 34. You guys are all over the place. I'm trusting 34. Most people say 34. We're talking 34 hours. 34 hours of actual work for you to go from baby to, let's say, I don't know, 2.5K USD in your bank account, roughly, roughly. This isn't even counting your killer case study upsell. This is none of that. Just roughly 34 hours, just 34 hours of actual, what we call value added work. So there's a lot of work you're going to do. There's a lot of things you're going to do as a person. But the actual task where you're sitting down, you're moving pixels, you're changing the shape of something, you're changing the website, you're having a conversation, you're doing actual, let's call it work, 34 hours. I've even included some research. I technically probably shouldn't even include that. 34 hours of actual work to go from zero, killer case study, get your first big deal. This is like from zero to first rack hero, 34 hours of actual work. Why does it take so long? Why does it take you guys longer than 34 hours? I mean, if you lined everything up, you just lined up a killer, a client and a document and the CIA insiders and the funnels and all that stuff. If you just line it up, you could just get through the entire thing in 34 hours. 4 Red Bulls and you're done. First rack hero, done. Why does it not work like this? Because it's not just you. There are other factors you guys get to deal with. There are other people you get to deal with. And you have to do one of the most unfortunate things on the planet. And that is you have to wait for these other people to do their things. Let me show you why waiting is actually the limiting factor. How much you have to wait on other people is actually what slows you down for the most part. Now there's one more layer, I guess 2 more layers to this, where I'm going to blow your mind successively on each one and show you some other big speed bumps that you guys make that are absolutely needless, that probably have ruined more dreams than anything else in the copywriting campus. Probably. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the killer of dreams. And then I'm going to emotionally carpetbag those of you that deserve it. But let me go ahead and show you how waiting steps in here and messes this up. And we're going to, again, we're going to be very generous. I'm going to put low numbers on here. Sometimes Murphy's Law happens and these numbers get bigger. But let's say between getting your outreach and getting a reply, you might have to wait for one whole day. And now we're switching from hours to days. One day here. Let's say you wait a day, you get a reply. Of course, we like to meet with you, young student who wants to do a marketing project. Let's talk in 3 days. You would have to wait 3 days to go and get that, to actually have the sales call. So we're talking 4-day wait between here and here, where technically you can't do anything to accelerate that particular project to money. You can't. You just have to wait for them to reply back. Now, we're going to talk about what to do when you wait, but here's your 4-day wait, right? Then between your sales call to this, you don't actually have to wait at all. You can just be fast. But if you can get started here, but also you might have to wait, let's say 3 days for a CIA insider to sit down with them, get that first initial thing. That's just with one. Maybe you do 2 rounds of CIA insider thing. You can see how this number gets really big, really, really fast. We'll talk about why this is, we'll talk about this one in a second. Let's say you have to wait 3 days once you've got it all done for your client to sit down and talk with you. Now, these can't be really the same 3 days, but we're talking like 6 days probably that you have to wait between starting this, between having the sales call and being to where you're completely done here. Now, when it comes to like building and launching your funnel, you could probably say that take a day roughly, but let's just keep that in the 6-day thing. Between you actually building and launching the funnel and being able to start your killer case study outreach, at a minimum, you're going to have to wait 7 days. And this one right here, this is how long it takes your project to get results. Now, 7 days is the bare minimum. Some projects take longer than 7 days. Some people's ad budgets take longer than 7 days, but 7 days is a sort of a nice little number here to wait for the results to come in. And then back over here, we're back to our outreach game. It's roughly the same. 1 day plus 3 days, you're looking at 4 days. How many days of waiting, guys, based on the math? 4 plus 6, that's 10. 7 and 4, what's that? 21 days? 21 days of waiting. 21 days of waiting plus 34 hours. I mean, technically, you can do most of those tasks while you wait. So you're looking at 21.2 hours. Yeah, 21.2 hours or 21 days and 2 hours before you make your first 2.5K from a second client. That's like bare minimum, assuming the waiting goes, that's assuming you get responses first day. That's assuming you can get your CIA method in 3 days. That means after that, you can get it with 3 days with your client. It means it takes you roughly 6 days, 7 days to get this all done. That's assuming your project generates kick-ass results in 7 days, not 14, not 21, not 30, but 7 days. That's assuming that. And that's assuming you can get first-round hits with your killer case study-based outreach, and you can close that deal in 3 days after hitting your first send. That's 21 days, right? So is this under 30 days? Yeah. And after you get this 2.5K, and you can usually repeat that a bunch, get your 10K in. But do you see how the amount of time you spend working is actually not that important? The real limiting factor is this, right? It's how closely you can do this, and how much you can make sure it doesn't go beyond that. By making sure your project doesn't go any faster, by making sure you get your results fast, by making sure you run your projects quickly and efficiently. Do you see how, and some of you are like probably 2 or 3 or 4 times as efficient when it comes to scheduling your stuff, running your client meetings, getting your results in, et cetera, et cetera. But that's like the leanest, best case scenario. This is what you should do. Kind of like, I mean, maybe according to the laws of physics, you can move the pixels around faster and get results quicker. But basically, this is about as good as it gets. Now, I do want you to know, just as a second, I know that if you're comparing this to 0, this seems kind of crazy. Wait, I have to wait 21 days before I make 2.5K? I mean, show me another system on the planet where you can start off as a complete retard, a baby that knows nothing, and be in a position to earn 2.5K for as long as you want in 21 days if you're hyper efficient. Show me. Do you know how long it takes? This is like a college education in 21 days, as far as like the kind of income you'll make immediately after, not to even mention what happens in the next 21 days when you get to grown-ass man. Anyways, that's the most efficient path. The amount of time you spend working, sure, that's important, but The big game is, why do we have to wait so much? And is there anything we can do about this? Now, this should inform your decision making. We're going to talk about all the moves in a little bit here, but let me just cover some really, really quick moves that will help you avoid some of this, because you can cut this number down. You can trim down 21 days if you're smart. And I'm going to show you the most important way you can do that. Number one, you have to pick a project that's fast, right? If you pick a project, there's some of you that are like, oh, I got a client, it's B2B. I'm going to do direct outreach for 6 months before I get a deal. That's going to make this number go from 7 days to 6 months, even on the best case scenario. Oh, some of you do SEO or social media projects or whatever. Oh, I'm going to grow as organic media, blah, blah. 6 months. You've added 6 months to the payday here. That's a problem, right? That's a real problem. The other one, and this is a fun move. Let me show you guys this move. This move's fun. You can cut down this to 0. You can save yourself 3 days if you pick a niche. You reach out to businesses that you have CIA method insiders in your house. If you have that, you don't have to wait a day. When you get to the point where you need CIA feedback, you take your laptop, you tackle your father and say, please take a look at this, please. Congratulations, boom, done. You saved yourself 3 days. You're going to still do this as quickly and efficiently as possible, but you really want to look at where you can trim this number down. You got to pick fast projects. You got to pick clients that have budgets. You need to pick clients where you have CIA method insiders. There's another thing we can do here to cut at least 1 day, probably 3 days out, and that is, and you guys aren't going to like this one either, but you can reduce this probably in half on average if instead of doing email-based outreach, you go in person. If you go in person and meet a client, you can get it done in 1 day or 2 days. You can show up, meet them, shake their hand, get to know their situation, show them your idea, and bam, have the deal done and be able to move immediately into research and drafting with like 1 day. You save yourself all of this time. You can compress it into 1 day. You see how fixing the orange is the most important part? Let me just check the chat. Make sure you guys, I told Adam before we started he had to watch this call sitting down. But this should change everything, right? This should change the way that you think about this. This should change the way that you focus your time. This should make yourself hold yourself to a higher standard as far as like the things you focus on. This isn't even the big realization yet on the call, guys. I've got a bigger one here. I've got a bigger mistake, and this is the hopes and dreams killer mistake that I see some of you make. Adam, if you're watching this one, please sit down. Any of you, if you are fragile ego, or if maybe you're like one of those people that get epileptic seizures when bright lights happen, I'm warning you, this is going to be such a big realization, it might cause an epileptic seizure for you. So please sit down. If you need to get a drink of water, take a deep breath. This one's going to hurt for some of you because you've lived it. And for the rest of you, you want to avoid this mistake if you can. So here we go. Some people go through this pretty quickly and efficiently. They do their outreach, they get their client, they do the sales call, and then over here, they actually cut this number down. Or they skip some steps and they put together a project that's less than ideal. Like dead to rights, if you ask them with full honesty, is this project going to work? They say, I don't know, don't think so. Is it better than competitors? Probably not. They launch a subpar project into the wild. Sit down, launch the meta ads or the Google search ads and the terrible web page. And like, I don't think it's going to work, but I'm just going to launch it anyways, right? They have low standards for the work that they do and they launch it anyways. 7 days go by. That's in a good case scenario. Sometimes it's a whole month. And they don't get results. Those first 7 days, those first 4 days, they reach this point right about here. And they realize that their results are bad. And they have to, this is where it gets crazy, they have to go back and they have to restart. This is, again, best case scenario. If the client still likes them, right? They haven't pissed off the client too much. They have to go back and they have to restart here. And again, sure, maybe it doesn't take them 12 hours to do the whole thing, but they're going to have to wait 6 days. They're going to have to wait another 7 days to know this works. Roughly speaking, doing this move, going from here to here, is like hitting the snooze alarm on your success. But instead of it being 10 minutes, it's usually at a minimum 14 days. You're basically saying to yourself, best case scenario, I'm not going to be successful for another 14 days. Snooze. And half the time, listen, if you have to do this once in your life, that's okay. Sure, you do this once, you learn your lesson, you do this right. But some of you guys do this multiple times. You hit snooze like 7 times, and you're running a long ass project, so it takes 6 months. Every time you hit snooze, it's another 6 months, another 6 months. You push your date of success out by 6 months, 14 days, whatever, over and over and over again because you try and cut corners. You try and save an hour here, and so you waste 14 days, 30 days of your life. And this isn't even the worst case. Half the time, it doesn't go back here. Half the time, they look at you like a punk little kid who wasted all of their ad spend money, and they kick you to the curb. And what do you get to do? You don't just go back here, you go all the way back to here because you don't have that extra client or whatever. And look at this. You go all the way back here. And sure, you had to spend all the hours in front of your keyboard doing this work, but look how much longer you have to wait. Now at a bare minimum, it's not just 7 days. You're at least doing 20 days? You've added 20 days at a bare minimum, probably closer to 21 days because you're starting all the way over again. You're at 21 more days just to catch up to where you were, not even to reach the end point. You're looking at 21 extra days. And most of the time, it's even more than that. This is the killer of dreams. Because not only does this cost you time, this one costs you emotionally. This one crushes your heart. This one makes you think that you're not good. This one makes you think maybe I am a loser. Maybe I'm just not going to make it because you cut some corners here. Now again, if you have to do this once in your life, who cares? You learn the lessons. 14 days still. But some of you push this damn button over and over again because you cut corners here. Let me just check real quick. How many of you have done this? Again, this is the best case scenario, but how many of you guys have done this? You cut corners here, you push through, maybe you skip the CIA method, you said, I'm going to save a day here, and ended up having to wait 14, 20, 30, or are still in a question mark, infinity. I don't know how much longer it's going to take. How many? Me. That was 100% me. 1. Yeah, okay, yeah. This is the big one. This is the big one, guys. This is the hidden enemy to your success. This is the hidden enemy to your productivity. More so than any of the other little parts here, making this mistake is the biggest one, and none of you see it. None of you notice this because you haven't broken it down like this. You don't know the true time cost of your decisions. So I'm going to add one more layer to this, and then we're going to call it good, okay? One more fun layer, and then we're going to talk about specific moves you can make. We already talked about some of the ones you can use to kind of cut some of this down, pick niches where you have CIA member assets, do fast projects, don't do long projects, go in person, do your outreach instead of going and doing emails because it'll save you 2 or 3 days, which is important, especially for those of you who want to make a bunch of money. There's one last category that slows all of this down, okay? And this is a bucket. This is a big bucket, and it's a bucket of BS. There's a bunch of emotional BS, garbage that will mess with all of this. It messes with the outreach, messes with your sales call, whatever. You half-ass all of your work. You're distracted constantly. You're on Netflix. You're listening to some female whine or moan at you or whatever. You're dealing with this. You're having to do that. You're not sleeping. You're not eating. Your energy levels are low. All of this drags out and multiplies this, right? Oh, you forgot to schedule the review call at the end of your sales call, and you have to wait 2 weeks for your client to respond back because they have never done email, blah, blah, blah. BS stupidity. Some of you guys shoot yourself in the dick with the projects that you do because you just make stupid errors, like just sloppy execution, and your emotional, distracted little rectangle worshiping weirdos, and that causes a lot of problems. So I hope, just sort of as like a nice bonus, as you guys look at this timeline, look at how lean things need to be, how focused you really should be, how some of these choices make consequence, that this just gets deleted because you're like, dude, I don't have time to watch Netflix. I've got to be running this project as efficiently as possible. If I mess something up and hit snooze for 14 days or 3 days or 6 days or 12 days, that really screws with my ability to make money and be successful. Hopefully this just gets deleted, but I had to put that on there because some of you are still making this mistake, and quite frankly, this is hard enough without you bringing extra BS to the table. So just think about that for those of you who are out there. Let's talk about moves. Let's talk about wise decisions that I think you guys should all focus on. Now, to avoid the snooze, because the snooze part is where things get really crazy. There are certain like filters where things get crazy. There's this one right here, the sales call really. There's the project being launched live, having it pass the filter of your clients, and then there's sort of this one again, sales call here. At each stage here, there's a filter, right? We talked about this the other day. Somebody else has what I want. They have a business I want to work with. They have the money that I want, so they need to buy my customer's product. They have 2.5K that I want. There's always a thing that the other people have that you want, and then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to give them in order to get what I want? Now, these filters that you have here, passing them the first time matters, because just like the snooze effect happens here, some of you guys, you show up and yeah, maybe you do the copy and paste outreach, which is great, but you don't really think about the sales call. You don't think about the filters or how to show up right. And so as a result, you keep getting reset here, or you're over here and you're brain dead copy and paste in the killer case study based template, spamming that out. You're not even thinking about the filters and you keep getting reset here. Or you're over here bumping into this project of like, man, I'm not like, I can't get people to buy my product or convert on my webpage or whatever. There's a harsh filter from the market on sort of these big steps. Now, as you go through the timeline, you're bebopping through this. With any extra downtime that you have going through this game, what you should be doing, what I would do if I wanted to like go through this as quickly as possible. If I was one of you guys, I woke up maybe with a little bit better IQ than some of you guys here, I would be focused and thinking about the next filter every single time. As you're monitoring this campaign and you're seeing the results come in, you're probably good. You should probably start thinking about what business owners are going to see here. When you're on this draft here, you should be obsessively thinking, what can I do to ensure that my project is going to pass this filter so I don't have to hit snooze? You need to be obsessing over the next filter, talking with fellow students, figuring things out. And here's the big one, because if this is the big breaker of hopes and dreams, you see this part right here? You should never commit to the next step until you are absolutely certain, or at least 80% certain, that your marketing that you're going to launch is better than the competitors. It is significantly noticeably better than competitors, and it is going to win. You have to be completely confident. If you need to spend a whole extra 10 hours, let's say you add another 10 hours, you spend another 10 hours here, you spend 24 hours, and then it goes from 34 to 44. But in all honesty, it saves you from the snooze. Isn't that 10 hours worth it? Isn't 10 hours of holding yourself to just the highest standard and maybe getting a second round of review, hounding the lieutenant until he looks at your stuff and gives you the feedback so you're going to pass this filter? Wouldn't investing 10 hours be worth it if it helps you avoid a 14-day, best case scenario, or 20-day snooze? Wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be useful? Wouldn't it be useful for you to take and invest an extra 1 hour here? Again, a tiny number. Oh, wow, now we're dealing with 45 hours to get somebody to give you some feedback to help you know that if you're prepared for reaching out, or you're reaching out to the right niche or whatever. Wouldn't it make sense to invest some hours up here that don't even matter, really? They don't slow you down even at all, because usually it's just done on the same day, to ensure you're going to pass that next filter. The move here is to invest a little bit of time, but the time itself isn't really the thing. It's not just, let me just clock in for an extra 3 hours on this project. It's not that. The most important move you need to have as you progress through the system and seek to make a bunch of money, the most important one is you need higher standards. Standards. This is the most important one. This is it. It's off the board. It's so important. I just realized it's up there. Higher standards is the most important one. We'll put that over here. Yeah. One is higher standards. I know some of you are trying to do your best, or you've gone through the little school. I can't write on the freaking board. Just pay attention. Someone take notes of this. We're done with the board. We've covered up space. You need to set higher standards for the work that you do. You need to not really launch it until you are actually confident that it's going to work. You do that with using the CIA method. You do that by paying attention. Use that to holding yourself to a higher standard by looking at top players, analyzing competition, and being brutally honest with yourself. Because if you're not, you're just going to hit snooze forever and never reach a payday. You need to be completely honest with yourself and hold yourself to a higher standard. Now, like for example, here, if it was me, I was one of you, and I was launching my project. get my killer case study. I would not push launch. I wouldn't turn the ads on live. I wouldn't send people to the website until I was sure I had compared it to the competitors. I had my CIA method assets compared to the competitors, and I knew for a fact that it was at least 50% better than the competitors, that it was just going to completely win. Because I would be terrified. I wouldn't be terrified. Not terrified. I would be extremely adverse to having to deal with a 20-day, 30-day reset for no good reason. All right, so set higher standards. Hold yourself to that standards. If you need to spend some extra time or get some extra help or spam the chat until I respond or whatever, then do it, because so much of your life is on the line. Needless hours, years, months, decades, perhaps. All right, on the line. Number one is higher standards. Number two, there are some basic moves you can do. We talked about some of them with the outreach, some of them with the CIA method assets, picking fast projects, using, I haven't launched this yet. Sorry, guys. There's a cool new killer case study based outreach that's going to help you get to results in one day a lot faster for the smart ones of you. And it's going to be very difficult. You're going to hate it, but it's going to be really, really good. Anyways, make the moves that speed this up by avoiding some of the unnecessary slowdowns here and investing some here to avoid the slowdowns later on down the road. What was the other move? Redundancy. There's some redundancy that needs to happen. This is the third one. You don't just stop after you get your one project with one client. You get 2 or 3 killer case studies. So you run 2 or 3 of these timelines. That way, in case one of your clients gets hit by a bus, falls down a well, dies from a freak plumbing accident or whatever it happens, you're still fine. You don't have to reset to 0 because you've got another horse in the race, and you can move them along and be more successful with them. If you want to have 2 or 3 killer case studies, you want to make sure you hit the volume 2 here. This is the thing. If you're doing outreach, if you're going in person or doing email-based outreach, you shouldn't just send 10 a day. Some of you guys, I sent 5 outreaches today. Yeah, it's going to take you probably a week or 2 to get your first response. Add 7 days. You got to be doing high volume of outreach so you have redundancy. That goes for over here as well. You got to make sure that you are you're at a very high quality. Here you can just copy and paste. You can copy and paste for most of this, and you're gonna have to increase your IQ here a little bit, but you want to make sure you have enough volume to where if there is some disruption, you would still have a horse that's in the race that's still going quickly. So those are the 3 moves. Number 1, hold yourself to a higher standard. Be prepared for every filter. If you have downtime, prepare for the filter. Consider investing some more hours and going through a day here in order to save you 20 potential days here. Pick fast. Hold yourself to higher standards. Do the volume. And cut out the BS, because the BS is like pathetic and it's keeping you guys from being successful. And I'd rather talk about something else. So screw you guys. If you're sitting around distracted, not playing this game, it's like going to a factory and like dumping sludge all over the machines and be like, Professor Andrew, why does my factory not work? It's because you're retarded and you're sabotaging the whole project. Stop. Or stop caring. Like, if you really don't want to make money, just go away. That's fine. If you really listen, if you love video games and you love Netflix and you love TV, if you love sitting around watching other people live lives, if you love your rectangle so much and there's nothing better for you than just to sit there and scroll, do it. I don't care. Do not care. Go be an unproductive little factory, lose the game of capitalism. That's fine. If that's what you love, do it. But if you want to win, why don't you get your ass in gear, get to work? It's a lot more fun. You can make money, and then you can go live a beautiful life and do fun stuff. I don't know. But if you don't care, you don't care. And if I can tell you don't care, I really struggle with motivation for the last 3. Dude, bro, I can't help you. I don't want to help you. I want to go help the guy who gives a shit and is running through this really, really fast and working as hard as he can. That's the guy I'm going to go help. So just unretard yourself, por favor. All right. We've